In an incredibly narrow victory, right-wing historian Karol Nawrocki has been elected Poland's new president. Most day-to-day power lies with the prime minister, but the president's influences foreign policy and can veto legislation. Nawrocki's win has sparked some concern that it could undo the centrist government's efforts to dismantle the legacy of authoritarianism in the country. Tessa Bennett joins us with more on this. Tessa, what can you tell us about the newly elected president?
Manisa, Nawrocki is aligned with Poland's right-wing populist Law and Justice Party, winning the presidential election with just over 50% of the vote. His election win could signal a stronger relationship between Poland and the U.S., with Nawrocki seemingly getting President Trump's seal of approval. Has elected Karol Nawrocki, a conservative historian and staunch nationalist, as its next president. The results were incredibly narrow, with both sides claiming victory before Nawrocki and his right-wing populist Law and Justice Party won with 50.89% of the vote, defeating Liberal Mayor of Warsaw, Rafał Trzaskowski.
And so on the one hand, you have those who are sort of skeptical of the European Union, who are more conservative, more religious, more nationalist, and on the other side you have those who are more sort of liberal, progressive, pro-European.
This election was closely watched and may show a pattern of resurgence of right-wing populism in Europe.
As we've seen several elections recently where the Trump factor has played a big role, most recently in Romania. But I think in this case it has more to do with the dynamics in Poland itself.
Nawrocki will take office in August and is expected to shape Poland's domestic and foreign policy, which could strain ties with Brussels, throw Ukraine's potential entrance to NATO into question, and more closely align the country with U.S. President Trump's administration. The 42-year-old built his campaign on patriotic themes, Catholic values, and a promise to defend the country's sovereignty against the European Union.
Well, we welcome any democratically elected president or head of state. President von der Leyen had the opportunity already earlier this morning to post on social media her congratulatory message. And as always, we will seek good cooperation, building on the very good cooperation that we have with Poland.
In Poland, much of the day-to-day power remains in the hands of the prime minister, a position currently held by Donald Tusk. He was PM from 2007 to 2014, returning to office in 2023, pledging to repair relations with the EU and restore judicial independence, something Brussels says was degraded by the party backing Nawrocki. Tusk's coalition has worked to push through certain promises like looser abortion laws, which Nawrocki is expected to push back against.
Poland, like most European countries, has a system where there's a president who's the head of state who has mostly symbolic powers, and it has a prime minister who is basically the chief executive officer. So that means that we're in for several years of a logjam in the case of Poland, unfortunately.
This election could also signal a stronger relationship between the Polish and American governments. Nawrocki visited the White House and the Conservative Political Action Conference, the U.S.'s premier conservative event, held its first meeting in Poland just days before the election.
Poland, on the one hand, will be in conflict with the U.S. on trade policy as a member of the European Union, and on the other hand, it will be sort of trying to be the European ally who is most gung-ho about the U.S. in NATO.
A Reuters report that came out after the election results were finalized says Prime Minister Tusk will be calling for a parliamentary vote of confidence in his coalition government, and that his party does not intend to take any steps back.